As a couples therapist, I can't tell you how often the 5 love languages come into conversation in my office. But is there any scientific proof to back up this pop culture phenomenon? And does it work with gay and queer relationships? My name is Tom Brewitt, and I'm a relationship expert who helps gay men improve their relationships with themselves and each other. What am I referring to when I say the 5 love languages? I'm talking about a book by Baptist Pastor Dr. Gary Chapman called The 5 Love Languages: How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate. It was published over 30 years ago in 1992 and is incredibly popular to this day. Chapman developed this concept while working with couples in his faith-based counseling practice. For many of you, myself included, the fact that this was developed in a faith-based way has my hackles up. Far too many of us in the queer community have experienced discrimination and/or religious abuse. Fairly or not, when I hear something started in a faith-based community, I'm skeptical about whether or not this theory in question will be useful for the queer community. I like to own my personal biases when I'm aware of them, so that you know what is coloring my perspective. Though I can't find it online anymore, there are posts that share Chapman's overt homophobia and bias against queer relationships. So that's not helping his case here, in my opinion. But I digress. Before we talk about whether the 5 love languages can be helpful to gay and queer relationships, let me explain what the theory says, and let's talk about whether there's any scientific evidence to back up what Chapman has proposed. In a nutshell, the 5 love languages that Chapman describes include acts of service, physical touch, quality time, receiving gifts, and words of affirmation. His theory is that we all have a primary love language, and that is how we like to have love expressed to us. In fact, he says that a mismatch in love languages can cause relationship distress. You'll often hear someone say, "My love language is acts of service, and my partner is not doing enough of that." Does this theory hold water? Does the science prove that having and expressing your primary love language improves relationship satisfaction? Doctors Sharon M and Flavia Sancier-Barbosa put the love languages to the test and shared their results in their recent paper, testing the predictions of Chapman's 5 love language theory. Does speaking a partner's primary love language predict relationship quality? This paper was published recently in the Journal of Marital and Family Therapy. These researchers looked at the evidence available from previous studies and also conducted their own study, which revealed some interesting things about the concept of the love languages. First off, having a primary love language and expressing that to your partner did not result in higher relationship satisfaction. In fact, having and expressing a primary love language resulted in less satisfying relationships. If you're someone who says, "My love language is physical touch and my partner is not giving me enough," research says you should rephrase that request. You can hear Dr. Flicker discuss the paper on Justin Lay Miller's Sex and Psychology podcast, and there were some fascinating observations that she shared in that conversation. For instance, there were 2 love languages that did predict relationship satisfaction: quality time and words of affirmation. This makes a ton of sense to me as a relationship therapist. When new clients come in to see me, the first thing that I'm usually helping them work on with each other is increasing quality time that they do spend together, either doing fun and interesting things, or at the very least, curbing painful conflicts, and helping them express appreciations to each other in a more constructive way. As gay men, this can be a hard one, no pun intended. When you're socialized male, many of us are not encouraged to share appreciations with those we love. But this is a simple thing that you can shift to improve your relationship today. It's more than likely that you'll feel gratitude or appreciation towards your partner from time to time. Just let them know that. Say the words. The relationship experts John and Julie Gottman have also found in their research that they can predict whether a couple will stay together or separate by observing how they speak to each other and interact. Positive interactions result in stronger relationships. Now, this probably seems intuitive to many of you out there, but I can't tell you how often clients come in to see me and struggle with expressing appreciations about their partner. Things can snowball in a relationship that is freezing over. Negative interactions bring about more negative interactions. However, we know the opposite is also true. Positive interactions bring about more positive interactions. I don't know about you, but I like to express and have love expressed to me in a variety of different ways. Why pick only one love language when you can have all 5? Now, before you get overwhelmed, I'm not saying that you need all 5 love languages in order for your relationship to thrive. But let's say your partner is going away on a long work trip. They might appreciate you slipping their favorite plain snack in their bag. In that case, a gift might feel nice. But if they had a super stressful week at work, they might appreciate it if you did the laundry as an act of service. We know that flexibility and having more options to express love in a relationship is better than the alternative. And why limit the love languages to only 5? There could be undiscovered ways out there to express love in your relationship. What's the benefit of limiting the ways that love is expressed? I know that this research may be upsetting to fans of the love languages out there, but we don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. Instead, let's shift our perspective about this theory. We know that quality time and words of affirmation are the bare minimum requirements for a thriving relationship. And the other ways of expressing love are just the icing on the cake. The 5 love languages are just a jumping off point for a much more important and relationship nurturing set of conversations. First off, start with yourself. How do you like having love expressed towards you? Is it different in different situations and settings? Do you like physical touch when you're sad and acts of service when you're overwhelmed? If you become more aware of what your wants, needs, feelings, and desires are, and then express them to your partner or partners, there's a better chance that they will actually be met. I know as humans, we like things to be simple and we want to categorize complex things in neat little boxes, but don't do that with expressing love. It's too important. Leave a comment on the video and let me know your reaction to this research, especially if you can think of new and unique ways to express love that don't fit into the 5 love languages that Chapman wrote about.